At number 10, I'm still going to keep LSU in there against my better judgment. But here's the problem. There's no one else to put there. Even though they got shut out, they were held under 200 yards of offense by Alabama. They were held to 12 rushing yards by Alabama. By the way, they came in averaging just over 190 in the season on the ground. They punted on their first 9 possessions, and the defense allowed 29 points, 281 on the ground, and 576 total yards. I know Bama's great, but that's not a great performance from LSU. Problem is, there's no one else to put at number 10. At number 9, I've got Washington State. They've won 5 straight after that loss to USC. They blew that fourth quarter lead, and of course the controversy surrounding the replay and then everything that went along with the Pac-12. Their late TD last week beat Cal, but the 19 points were the first time this season they've been held under 28. Cal had the number 1 pass defense in the league coming into that game, and they kept them in check for the most part. Minshew, he still leads the nation by about 50 yards, a little over 50 yards. So this is still a really good football team. I think that until the Apple Cup, they should remain as a 1 loss. At number 8, it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. They trailed at half against 2-win Nebraska, but they did end up winning, albeit just by 5, at home in that first game since their 29-point loss against Purdue. They did get on track on the ground. They had almost 230 rushing yards and close to 5.5 per pop. Both were the most since their opener against Oregon State. But let's keep one thing in mind. They've got to get better on defense, and they've got to continue to get better running the football to help Dwayne Haskins out. He's second in college football right now with his 339 passing yards per game. At number 7, it's West Virginia. How about the 2-point call by Dana Holgorsen? I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And why not? He's been waiting for this group of seniors and veteran to get to this point to challenge for a Big 12 title, and he decided to put the game in Will Greer's hands. It was the correct decision. I loved it when I was in the booth, and I still love it right now. By the way, they're 12th in total offense, 6th in passing offense this season. They had a season high of 7 yards per carry against Texas, so maybe they're getting their ground game going a little bit. At number 6, I've got Georgia. They clinched the SEC East. That's nothing to write home about. Not a great division, but they won it like we expected them to. Swift and Holyfield, by the way, they had great days last week against Kentucky. Career high and combined for 271 rush yards, 3 touchdowns between them. The team ran for over 330. What I've loved is that Fromm has gotten back on track. He's becoming a much better threat on third down, much more like he was late in last season on their run towards the national championship game. At number 5, I've actually moved down Oklahoma from 3 last week to 5 this week. And the reason is that defense took a major step back. They had improved drastically in their first 2 games under Ruffin McNeil. They went down to Lubbock, which, listen, I understand Texas Tech can play a little bit of offense, but they were struggling at the quarterback position, and Oklahoma gave up far too many yards. Having said that, this is still an offense that is unbelievable. 8.9 yards per play this year. That's on pace to set the FBS record. And they've had 1,385 yards over the last 2 games. That's incredible. Kyler Murray, a couple of picks early, recovered, played very well, still in the thick of the Heisman race. At number 4, it's Michigan. This defense is incredible. They have yet to allow 300 total yards in all 6 Big Ten games that they've played, and 3 of those teams have failed to reach even 200 yards. They have not allowed a team to complete 10 passes in a game since September. That's 4 straight games, and over the last 3, they're only allowing 34% completion percentage and 4 of 34 on third down. That's only 12%. They are incredible. By the way, that offense, it's still averaging a pretty good clip on the ground. You look at Karan Higdon, 7 straight games with 100 rushing yards, 120 rushing yards per game for him. That's 9th in college football. So Michigan right now in my top 4. At number 3, it's the undefeated Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They're 9-0 for the first time since 2012. Of course, that was the year they went to the BCS title game. Ian Book, a career-high 399 total yards last week against Northwestern. He had 50 rush yards in each of the last couple of games. And Book, he's been playing so well. 339 total yards per game, 18 total touchdowns, only 5 turnovers in his 6 starts, which has been very good. They're averaging close to 40 points per game since he was named the starter. That's 15 more than the first 3 games, and their scoring defense is still solid, below 20 points, 19th in the country in scoring that 19 points per game. Notre Dame's for real. At number 2, it's Clemson. The run they've been on is unprecedented. They've outscored their last 4 opponents, 240-36. That's an average score of 60-9, a 51-point margin. That's insane. Number 4 scoring offense in the country, number 4 scoring defense in the country. They're the most balanced team in America right now. You remember they handed FSU a couple of weeks ago their worst home loss ever? Well, they followed that by handing Louisville their worst loss since 1941. Trevor Lawrence is continuing to develop and throw well. He only needed to throw 12 passes in that ball game. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception since taking over for Kelly Bryant. This is a really good football team. They can run it incredibly well. Their defense is great. And at the line of scrimmage, they are dominant. They are number 1 in college football in offensive rushing average at 6.9, and they're number 1 in defensive rushing average at 2.2. Incredible stuff. And number 1 altogether now, it's Alabama. They held LSU to a ridiculous low number of yards, under 200 yards. They outgained them 576-196. Unreal. They had a 281-12 edge on the ground. They forced 9 straight punts to open the game, and they have had 500 yards of offense in all 9 games that they have played. They're the number 1 scoring and number 1 total offense in the country, and now they're in the top 10 in scoring defense at number 7. Tua is still incredible, even though he threw his first interception of the year. 27 touchdowns, only 1 interception. What can this team not do? Jerry Jeudy is explosive on the outside, and in the first half, they maul you, they overwhelm you. They're outscoring their opponents in the first half by 268 points. That's astounding.